pretty strange to me.
Own yourself because we agree you do.
Well, no, I don't agree that that's what ownership means, but you said yes and I said yes, so we're both exactly even.
Well, then I want to know Then I want to know how you own yourself.
Well, look, if you actually look up ownership in like a dictionary, I think.
Oh, do not ever listen. Okay, as somebody that is more well read than every one of these retards, except for maybe Andrew. Andrew might know more philosophy than me. It wouldn't surprise me. If you want to cite Wikipedia in a debate or whatever, there's going to be, it's highly questionable to do that. And, maybe you can. It depends on what you're talking about. If you're having a debate that is of technical, there's like a sufficient level of technical or intricate like terminology that's being brought up. As soon as you've like referenced the dictionary, you have utterly lost that conversation. It's time to leave.
It's kind of in many ways, the ultimate appeal to authority. So people don't really realize this, but you can... I was arguing with a guy, I remember not long ago, over the definition of the word cuck. And I explained to him, I said, you have to understand how definitions work. And I tried to explain it to him. And he's like, so people can just make up whatever definition of whatever word they want? And I said, well, yeah, that's how definition, you kind of can do that, yes. And then if we agree on that that's a suitable definition, then we know what the word means between ourselves, right? So you can't just appealing to the dictionary and saying, but this is what the dictionary says, doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean that I agree with the concept of that word.
You can't do dictionary references when you're having a debate on philosophy.
No.
Any particular word you're going to use is going to have an understood context that's going to be within a certain framework that is never going to be expressed adequately in a few lines in a dictionary. Especially when you're debating things like, where do your rights come from? And somebody's like, where do my rights come from? Well, Merriam-Webster says that, rights dictionary. Merriam-Webster says that a moral or legal entitlement to have or obtain something or to act, like, why would you ever reference that? You're so...
It's not a good idea. It's not a good idea to do. Like, take a note on this. He's right. That's not a good idea to do ever.
Libertarian. His source of rights is the dictionary? His source of rights is Merriam-Webster? This guy who was a libertarian and follows God worships Merriam-Webster for his negative rights before... He called me a Wikipedia Andy, okay? And he's actually retarded.
Then I want to know how you own yourself.
Well, look, if you
okay, look, that's funny. It's funny.
Actually look up ownership in like a dictionary, I think the definition that you gave would be a little bit different than that. So
yeah, because Andrew Wilson is having a substantive conversation involving actual philosophy, and it's just going by a dictionary definition or something. The literal definition is what's being debated here. Like the source of your rights. You can't solve that conversation, that disagreement, with a
dictionary definition.
With a dictionary entry, like, oh, you disagree on where morality comes from? Well, let's see what the dictionary says. Oh, well, me. I didn't know that I could just look it up in the dictionary to solve the debates.
Problem solved. This is what the dictionary says. Now we know. Where do your rights come from? Well, according to the dictionary, they come from stuff, and also they come from things. Case closed, ladies and gentlemen. Case closed. Your rights come from stuff, and they also come from things as well. They come from stuff. They come from things. They come from, I don't know. Problem solved. Defending Andrew's hell frozen over? Apparently it has. But, I think that the Coomer Gremlin and I are better off in an adversarial position than in a friendly position. That's true, but I don't bear him any ill will because he is the best representation of the left. Unfortunately, he's the best.
Sure.
Do I exercise my control over myself? Do I do so morally? Yes, I think so. And I actually think that in order for us to even have this conversation, we both have, in a sense, agreed to that principle.
I don't think we have.
It's me versus you.
Do you own
the arguments that you're making so far in this conversation?
You don't. How do you own an argument?
No. Oh, Davis. Oh, my God.
Destiny says this guy's fucked.
Dave is floundering.
No, I mean, when I say that, I mean, is it yours?
What is that like? Am I the first person to make that argument?
Yeah, what does that mean?
Am I in exclusive ownership of the words? Do I have intellectual property rights to this particular? Like, what does that even mean?
No, I mean, when I say that, I mean, is it yours?
It came out of my mouth,
Are
sure.
the words you're saying yours?
But how would that make
mine?
the application that I owned that thing?
Well, look, again, define own.
I think that
Yeah, oh man.
the definition of ownership would be a social construct in which you and I, via agreement criteria,
He's doing another definition, or he's restating the definition. Like he's already defined this once, but
decide that X thing becomes property which is assigned to me.
Okay.
Yeah. So if that's true,
by that definition, do you own yourself?
I would say by the definition of that social construction, I could say that you own yourself, sure.
Oh, okay.
But that doesn't mean anything. Let me explain why.
Okay.
Because if the social
oh god,
could say that you own yourself, sure.
Oh, okay.
But that doesn't mean anything. Let me explain why.
Okay.
Because if the social,
we just
because
did this whole time.
let
I'm
me
not
explain.
getting it.
Because if the social construction, what if we change the social construct and we decide that you can own a person, Dave?
Right. Okay. And what if we change the social construct and says I?
now he's going to say something ridiculous, even though Andrew Wilson gave a hypothetical. But it was a clever hypothetical because it's like, well, what if we change the social construct to do something that we both agree is abhorrent, but that has historically been a thing, slavery, right? So Andrew Wilson proposes a hypothetical, but it's not a ridiculously, wildly crazy hypothetical. It's actually a historical example that he's now using as a hypothetical. And Dave is about to counter by saying some ridiculous shit like, oh, well, what if we say that people are unicorns?
I own your guitar and I own you. What do you
That's exactly
or
right.
just randomly defining shit as like whatever, yeah.
What if we change the social construction of ownership to mean you can own a person? Does that mean that people no longer own themselves?
Well, the difference here, right, is that, and it's the word that I mentioned that you didn't, is that I would say that ownership would imply that you're justified in that claim.
How are you justified in that claim?
Justification means that we're getting into epistemology, which means we're going to have to talk about like how do we justify beliefs. You've got like justified true belief. You've got like different ideas.
For Destiny, this is the worst thing ever, right? So from his perspective, he hates that shit. When you get into epistemology, justification, he's like, I'm fucking done. I don't want anything to do with that conversation, right? That's just how he is, right? He prefers to do kind of normative debates, normative political debates. He'll do a little bit of philosophy, but mostly he does like kind of normative debates. And so he's like, oh man, you shouldn't have said that, Dave. You shouldn't have said the justification word.
So like I don't even know any actual like theories of truth, right? Because fuck all, because again, cringe nerd shit. But fuck, why? Oh god, he's gonna be stumbling. Andrew's gonna have answers for all of these. Also, remember, if you're talking to a skilled debater, and they're entering into some arena. People do this to me, and it pisses me off because it's so arrogant, okay? Andrew clearly sounds confident in this conversation, okay? People will ask a question, or people will say a thing. Like, somebody will, like, I'll lay out a particular thing, and people say, like, oh, well, didn't you say this to Melina? And I'll be like, yes, I did. And they'll be like, oh, well, look, that defeats your time. It's like, do you not think that when I answered yes to your question that your follow-up wasn't incredibly obvious? Why did you think you were going to trap me by asking this question? Obviously, I'm answering your question with a high level of confidence, and I know what your follow-up is going to be, and obviously, I have a counter to the follow-up you're about to ask. Why would you assume otherwise, right?
So what the Coomer Gremlin's saying here, I hate to say it, but he's right. So what he's saying is, look, if I give you a direct yes or no to your question, I already am 3 steps ahead of your dumbass. I already know exactly what you're going to say next. I have completely predicted it, and it's because you're about to get fucking destroyed. No, MS Best, that's not what he's saying. He didn't say sounding confidence what's needed to win a debate. He didn't even fucking listen. You need to listen to what he's saying. He said, if it sounds like this guy is confident in what he's saying, he probably knows what your follow-up is going to be. That's what he said. That's what he's explaining. Okay? And then he gave an example where somebody will say, well, I had a debate with this guy and he gave a follow-up. Well, what about what you said about Melina? And he was like, I already knew you were going to say that, dumbass. I already knew you were going to fucking say that. I was already 1 step ahead of your stupid ass.
How am I justified in the claim of owning myself?
Yeah, you just said if you agreed it's a social construction. So if we agree that it's a social construction, then we can own other people as via social construction. That would be justified.
Well, I don't think so. So the major difference there, right, is that as we're having this conversation, and clearly what's the goal here? To persuade, probably not to persuade each other, but at least to persuade the audience who's listening to us, because we...
Oh, now he's like, he's drunkly stumbled out of the arena to the outside, and now he's like, well, and it's like, yeah, Jesus.
Look, that was an incoherent answer from Dave. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, when I was like, so what's the justification? He was like, well, we're trying to convince the audience. That's like, what do you want for dinner? And I'm like, the sky is blue. It doesn't make any sense, right? He's the Joker to your Batman. You complete him.
What? We recognize that they are in control. Forget the word own, because that's triggering, evidently. But they are
I'm
in
not triggered
control.
by the word own.
Okay. When I say triggering, meaning that's going to start a whole nother debate about semantics. So...
he's doing so many... I should write these down as examples. No, fuck. That would be it'd take too long. I do need to start recording things. You know, one thing I learned in Israel that I'm trying to apply to my life more. If you're a business owner,
How to coom with like Israeli prostitutes? Is that maybe that's what he learned there? I don't know.
I think working on your workflows is really important. Like having it so that you can go from like idea to recording it somewhere, or idea to like application, or like smoothing the friction in your life so that you can easily do things without being impeded by bullshit around you. I think it's a really important thing to do. I've been working on that with like different workflows that I have. I need to think about if I want to start listing examples. This thing here, him saying semantics.
What would it take for you to debate about Christianity? Depends on what we're debating. I already have one next month with Green, a follow up with Adam Green.
You know what? We should. This is under. What do we call this? Personal, moral, no, strategy, beliefs, debate pervertry. Do we have one for this
debate pervertry?
Share with timestamp.
Yeah, but semantics.
Okay. When I say triggering, meaning that's going to start a whole nother debate about semantics.
Who's the more effective debater, Andrew or Rob Noor? They both debate in different ways. Rob Noor's preferred strategy usually involves like a hyper awareness of.
This is why you have to be particularly careful when you're debating with the Coomer Gremlin, right? Because he's not dumb. He's not dumb. He immediately says, well, they have different styles, but not, he doesn't just say that. He launches into the styles, and he has quite a bit of accuracy. The over-under for Destiny to do the hands-on-his-face thing is set at 13 minutes. Any takers? Oh! Isn't that the thing? Oh! No, hang on. Whoa! Isn't that what they do? Whoa!
Individual facts, and if you're not aware of them, you're probably going to flounder in the conversation. Andrew's debate strategy revolves around a hyper awareness of, I would say, like having at the very least a rudimentary understanding of philosophy, and maybe beyond that. I only say rudimentary not to insult him because my understanding of philosophy is rudimentary, so I wouldn't even be able to identify more than that.
That's fair.
But if you know a little bit of philosophy and the other person knows nothing, then you're going to be completely lost. Yeah. So they're two different styles of debate. I'm sorry, but anyway. When somebody says, let me explain the difference here. When somebody says, "This is just semantics,"
yeah.
That's a valid point to bring up when somebody is either trying to maybe equivocate on something, they're trying to make something sound different, or they're trying to I don't know, they're obfuscating with language. If I say something like, "Oh, like yesterday, you remember when all the kids like ran to the store?" And it's like, "You keep saying they ran to the store, they didn't run, they jogged." Okay, semantics, whatever, right? When somebody says semantics, what that's an abbreviation for is the semantic, well, they say semantics, but I feel like it's really syntactical input. But I don't know. I don't know why they say semantics. It feels like you're talking about syntax. But what you're saying is that the word that you're inputting here is not really relevant, right? Okay, fine. They ran, they jogged, whatever the f you want to call it. This is semantics. Who cares? It's not relevant. The particular word I'm using here, you understand what I'm saying? It's not relevant, right?
Yeah, so I agree with him here that would be kind of a bad faith input. of semantics. That is obfuscation. So it's like if somebody said the day before and you said yesterday, right? No, it's the day before, not yesterday. It's like, well, that's semantics, right? But semantics are super important in a debate for you to identify what it is that you're talking about so you don't talk past each other. But if somebody can use it in bad faith as well.
However, when you're having an argument about definitions, about words, about oftentimes philosophy, you can never just say just semantics. Excuse me, it's not semantics. You're actually arguing about the content itself. You're having substantive, meaning like substance-related disagreements about.
Fucking Coomer is right again. The Coomer gremlin is nailing it out of the park here.
What's being talked about. You can't just dispel that by calling it semantics. It's the subject matter of what you're debating. Like that's such a stupid. He's already done. Wait, do I have one for dictionary? Do I have a debate pervertry for invoking the dictionary? What would we call that?
Andrew found you on whatever your channel's awesome. Well, thanks, man, and I'm glad that you're over here spending some time with the Crucible crew. How is everybody in the crew today? How is the entirety of the Crucible crew? I hope you guys, if you're at work, you're listening, gives you something to listen to, and I hope if you're at home enjoying your day, that you also have some good content to listen to. We're just kind of chilling while we listen to this debate. I'm giving some commentary over it. Big debate tonight, me versus Rob Knorr, in preparation for the upcoming Richard Spencer debate on Tenet Media. Should be excellent content all day. I will have to take a break between now and the debate so I can take my old man nap. That way I'm up to snuff.
What would we call somebody who brings up the dictionary? You can't cite a dictionary.
I watched only a couple of highlights of it, but the highlights were charitable. I haven't been able to watch the entire thing. So I haven't seen any of this part, for instance. Travel expense for where? Also, do you like Coors Banquet? I do like Coors beer. Travel expenses heading back out to Santa Barbara. I have a big show I'm doing in Los Angeles while I'm out in Santa Barbara, and then from there I'm flying out to Miami. I do a massive debate on Fresh and Fit. Me and Myron Gaines verse, and we'll let you fill in the blanks.
Definition in a debate. Oh, the Webster Warrior. I like that one.
The Webster Warrior?
The Webster Warrior.
That's pretty funny. I'm going to look at the dictionary and see if you're right.
Around a topic that
dictionary
requires a certain level.
I kind of want to get a list like that going. Now that I see that, I think I need to get my own list of like of lunatic prattle. We'll just go we'll call it lunatic prattle.
Okay, well, all right. Let's not do this tactic of interrupting every 2 seconds. So let me just finish my point here. So we are both presuming that the people who are listening to this are in control of their own thoughts, and we could potentially persuade them.
Well, are we assuming they're in control of their own thoughts? Dave is just like rambling here. Oh God, he's so lost.
Toward our cause. And so if we're doing all of this.
Yeah, Destiny had to think about that for a second too. I was thinking, so it's fucking hate admitting this. Very similar thought processes between myself and the Coomer Gremlin. And the more I watch this, the more I realize that we have very similar thought processes, and that's probably why people enjoy watching us debate so much. Because we have very similar thought processes. When we're like, well, wait a second, let me think about that for a minute and see if it jives with not only reality but logic and very similar thought processes. That's kind of, in some ways, it's kind of terrifying, right? In some ways, it's kind of terrifying because it shows how much damage I could really do if I went over to the dark side. Shows how much damage I could really do if I went over to the dark side of the political world. You know, it'd be easy. In many ways, wouldn't it be really easy to just move over to the left and just coom all day? You know, I could get a divorce, you know, leave the wife, find a sitter for the kids and just coom and debate, right? It's a terrifying thought to note that there are very similar thought processes that when we're interpreting what another person is saying, Destiny and I are very similar in the way that we interpret and think about what it is that they're saying to us, though we come to wildly different conclusions. in some ways, it's just wild to me. M Juxtaposed for $5 says, just got off work, by far the most entertaining and underrated channel on YouTube. Not said enough, but I commend you for what you do. Godspeed, bro. Hey, thanks, man. I appreciate that very much. Kirk T for $5 Canadian. Go on break. See Crucible live. Click link. See Coomer talk sense. Look outside. Sky's still blue. Armageddon not happening. Christ is God. I know. It's very strange. Very strange. Why divorce? Just become a pimp? Yeah, that's true. Get my pimp hand going? Bitch, I will smack you. Bring me my money, bitch. I smack you in face. I will out-argue judge with logic.
We kind of are recognizing in some sense that it's more valuable to persuade people
Coomsable.
than it is to, I don't know, just enforce our will on them. And so in that sense, I would say that, yes, there is some kind of norm that there's a justifiable path where you can persuade people versus force them.
Sure. Well, I
Okay.
agree that you can persuade all sorts of people and that can be part of a societal norm and that everybody can agree that that's part of a societal
Right.
norm. That does not demonstrate that you own yourself. Thus, the key principle for the non-aggression principle, which is self-ownership, that's where the violation comes in. Do people own themselves? Is that a justified position or isn't it?
If you're a libertarian, you absolutely... The nap, bros. The nap. He violated the nap. Not the nap.
Not the nap.
How do you not? Bro, I feel like every...
Not the NAP. Not the nap. Not the old man nap that I'm going to take this afternoon. Not the nap. No. Not that you have just my sacred cow. My sacred cow, the non-aggression principle. This is some Inception YouTube content. Yeah, that's true. Take a nap. My old man, not my old man nap.
edgy internet atheist, all the early libertarian. Where are my Ayn Rand readers, my brave women, my brave men crawling across the train tracks, searching for our egos, searching for our Randian enlightened self-interest? Oh, the guy can't. Oh no, he can't defend the nap. The nap. What's the nap? By the way, I don't. Again, take everything I say with a grain of salt. I didn't do that much libertarian stuff, but
Why do people constantly accuse you of interrupting when in actuality 90% of the time they ramble on incoherently and won't shut the fuck up? Well, I mean, it's just like, I'll give you an example, okay? I remember when in the middle of Matt Dillahunty rage quitting during our debate, he said, how dare you interrupt me in the middle of his rage quit, you know? And I was like, well, how dare I interrupt you in the middle of a diatribe? How dare I do that? Just... What an asshole I am. No, I only stop people when they go on kind of these fucking incoherent rambles to bring them back in to what it is that we're talking about. I don't usually use interruption as a debate tactic to steamroll. I have done it. I have steamrolled people. That's true. But generally when I'm in a high profile debate, I want them to be able to talk, but I also need them to answer to what I'm asking them. So both of those things are true at the same time. Rizal says for $5, why did... Yeah, I'm sorry, I read that. Thank you, man. Appreciate the super. It's very kind of you. $5 from Mark the Mariner. Thanks for giving Dave Smith the epiphany that libertarianism is retarded. I mean, I think it's going to change his view over time. Maybe not immediately, but over time.
there is a... I feel like when you used to debate like libertarianism online, you'd always bring up the non-aggression principle, which is like, I think one of like the fundamental fucking axioms of libertarian thought.
Yep.
And it has to do with the idea of like, when are you allowed to exercise force against another party? When is it unethical or whatever? The non-aggression principle, also called the non-aggression axiom, is the legal or moral rule that states that any person is permitted to do everything with their property except aggression, which is in turn defined as the initiation of forceful action, which is in turn defined as the application or threat of physical interference, property breach, or...
Dave's more experienced debating history and current events than philosophy. That said, isn't Dave's argument that we need a concept of ownership valid? That's the heart of his argument. No, I don't think it was the heart of his argument. So I think that the biblical anarchy, the heart of his argument actually was that when it comes to how he deciphers what to do or not do, he doesn't really appeal to the non-aggression principle, but rather he appeals to divine command. He appeals to higher authority instead for what he should or shouldn't do. And I think that that is the fundamental principle that we came to. And that's why I ended up winning the debate, is because that's what I was trying to show him, was that ultimately you're not appealing to these principles, you're appealing to a different set of principles. And if that's the case, then why not just abandon these and go with that set? So Dave, I mean, I'm happy to just say, I think we probably do need some kind of conception of ownership. The problem is that if we do have a conception of ownership and it's a social construct, then you can just change the concept to mean that you own people, that you own other people's houses, you own their you can just change the concept, right? That's the problem. That's the whole problem with it.
Fraud, any of which without consent. The principle is also, so this is how libertarians will argue. For instance, I believe that like taxation is theft. And I think they argue that from the axiom of the non-aggression principle, that the government is exercising control over my private property in an aggressive manner, et cetera, right? Yeah. Oof. Okay, sorry. Jesus. Oh, no.
I'm saying that, yes, I think it is. But again,
then can you demonstrate it?
But what would you mean by that?
Read the next paragraph on that wiki. The non-aggression principle is considered by some to be an essential idea of libertarianism, voluntarism, anarcho-capitalism, or minarchism. Okay. Based.
But you mean to demonstrate that you
would have to prove that you own yourself.
That I can control myself, or what? Again, just be clear about what you're asking.
Well, here, let me give you an example. Yeah, I'll give you an example to the contrary.
If you do get caught in a debate like this and you don't understand what the opponent is saying, like there are clever ways to make it, like, because Dave is clearly flustered here because he doesn't even know how to begin to answer this question, right? Rather than showing your flusteredness, you should just ask for a clarification. Like, well, when you say own, can you tell me what you mean by that?